Welcome back to Everyday Economics, a podcast that helps you learn about the economic world happening around you every day. I'm your host, Chris Krug, president of the 501c3 nonprofit Franklin News Foundation. Everyday Economics is a production of America's Talking Network. You can check out all of our great podcasts at americastalking.com. To support podcasts such as this one, please make your tax-deductible charitable contribution by clicking the link in the show description. We are recording this episode on Tuesday, January 17th, and joining me is my partner, Dr. Orphe Divounguy. He's a PhD economist. Hey, I want to jump into something that I think is on the minds of a lot of people who are either thinking about entering the home market or perhaps selling inside of this market. It's a very different market than it was a year ago at this time. Very, very different. The pessimism is what was optimism, great optimism, has been replaced to some degree by pessimism. There is this feeling out there that there are just a lot of empty homes starting to amass on the market, and that perhaps we are headed toward what would more closely resemble the last housing crash of 2007, 2008 that many people would remember. Is that happening?
Let me just be very, very clear, because I hear all these rumors and pundits say these things that, they walk around construction sites and claim that homes are not being sold and that homes that so many homes are coming on the market and that nobody's buying them. Yes, housing affordability remains the biggest challenge for buyers and sellers today. And yes, there are new construction, new homes, newly built homes coming on the market. But we need that inventory desperately. Here's why. In December of 2022, we had roughly 800,000 homes active for sale inventory on the market, right? And that's compared to 1.3 million in December of 2019, a time where everybody thought the housing market was more normal. And so inventory would have to increase by another 60% in order to get back to a healthier, more normal level. So no, we're not seeing, a flood of homes on the market. There's not more inventory. The inventory is not the picture is not looking like it did before the global financial crisis. We don't have a lot of distressed sellers out there because, in fact, new listings, the number of homes coming on the market has declined by 28% when compared to a year ago. You're not seeing distressed sellers. You're just not. And so, when you hear people claim that there's going to be this massive house price crash, I would say don't hold your breath if you're waiting for prices to tumble like they did before the global financial crisis.
But one thing we're also not seeing right now is, the overlap of bidder on top of bidder on top of bidder on top of bidder. And we're starting to see some price reductions in particular. I know we started talking about new homes, and I don't want to confuse the fact. With existing homes, anecdotally, based on searches that I've been doing in select markets, just looking at certain kinds of property, I am now starting to see price cuts that are not crazy price cuts. And these are not price cuts that would go below, what the home would have been worth 2 years ago. But the pump up of last year seemed the air is coming out of that tire a bit, yes?
Look, in December of 2022, the typical home value in the U.S. was about $356,000, up 8.4% from a year ago, and up 42% since when compared to December 2019, right before the pandemic hit. So we do need some price cuts, okay? We need price cuts in order for buyers to come back to the table. We need housing affordability to stabilize. But like you said, the percentage of homes with a price cut has actually fallen when compared to the last 3 months of 2022, the summer, and then the last, November and October. And in some places, you're even seeing some price increases because affordability is, in fact, stabilizing. And how do we know it's stabilizing? All you have to do is look at mortgage rates. Mortgage rates coming down for 4 consecutive months has meant that mortgage applications has actually increased. So that you have a lot of buyers waiting in the wings for mortgage rates to come down just a little bit, right, in order for them to lock themselves into an affordable mortgage payment. And so that's what of course, there are differences across regions. We have the most expensive regions out in the West are seeing the biggest surge in inventory and are also seeing the bigger price cuts. Those are places that saw massive price increases during the pandemic. Those are places that are very expensive already. And by the way, if I look at home values across the country, year over year changes in home values, only 4 areas, only 4 metros actually have a decline, a year-over-year decline in home values. Those metros are Boise, Idaho, Seattle, Washington, San Francisco, and Austin, Texas, right? San Francisco, California, and Austin, Texas. That's it. And so home values are still up in double-digit territory in at least 24 major metropolitan areas. So you got to take all of that into account when you talk about the housing market.
We have just about 30 seconds left. Are you starting to see price reductions in the markets, outside of the 4 that you've articulated, that are meaningful, negotiated prices improving for the buyer's side? Who has the leverage now, the seller or the buyer?
Price growth has slowed across the board. And that's because home buying demand has fallen. In some places by up to 50, 60% when compared to last year. And so in those markets, you're going to see buyers having more negotiating power. The bidding wars of last year of 2021 are long gone. So yes, in some of those markets where inventory has surged, buyers are starting to have more and more bargaining power, more negotiating power. But overall, I'd say affordability needs to continue to come down somewhat. Yeah, it is a good time for buyers because, again, like I said, they're not facing bidding wars. And if you can afford a home today, I would say, inventory is so low, there's still that upward pressure on prices. If you love the home that you see and if you're really serious about staying in a home for a decade or more, I think now is a better time than in the last 2 years at least.
For Orphe Divounguy, this has been Chris Krug. Subscribe to Everyday Economics and dozens of other quality podcasts at americastalking.com.